Of course, I tried to emphasize it for you this morning, but what's the common word or theme in all of these readings? Wake up, wake up. What's the common word? Go. All right, that was a little bit better. A little bit. Go. The Bible is full of all sorts of stories about God telling God's people to go. And it's also filled with all sorts of reactions to that command by God. In just two of the stories of people that I read a moment ago, Moses comes up with a whole list of reasons why it shouldn't be him. And Jonah just runs off the other way to hide. And we heard on Wednesday that Naaman is told to go to the River Jordan and wash, and he gets mad. And I wonder, what is our reaction to the word go? It's definitely a directive word. Does that make us dig our heels in a little bit? I know that when I use that word with my children at home, I certainly get a lot of pushback. Sweetie, please go set the table. Why? Why me? Why do I always have to set the table? Why can't it be Alex? Or, go take a bath. And then I find them hiding in their room, cleaning their room, like somehow that's going to get them clean too. Or worse yet, go to your room, and the response is no. Really? And then they grudgingly go anyway, because like Jonah, they ran away once. And it didn't go so well for them. So why is it that we twitch at the prospect of someone telling us to do something? Do we hate being bossed around? Are we lacking in confidence? Or is it that we're simply afraid? Maybe we're simply afraid that something will actually happen. What does that mean? When Moses responded to God, Pharaoh listened, and then the Israelites had to leave. Has there been a time in your life when you knew that to respond to God, it meant that you would have to leave or change? Even when leaving something behind is a good thing, we grieve. Leaving may be sad. Leaving may be scary. Leaving may be a little lonely. And leaving may mean giving up on hopes and dreams that will never happen. But when God calls us to go, leaving might also mean freedom. Or maybe we're afraid that people will actually change. When we go and speak a word of God's love to the world, the people who hear it might actually listen. And what if we don't really want them to? The people of Nineveh were so bad that Jonah actually ran the other way. And then when he went, all he wanted was to see their destruction. Even when they repented and they changed their ways, he had gone to see them destroyed. But God doesn't call us to watch God punish. God calls us to watch God forgive. So what does it mean for us when that person in our life, and you know the one who pushes all our buttons, the one who just brings you down, the one you just want to see put in their place? What does it mean for us when that person repents truly and is forgiven by God and loved by God? Ooh, that just cuts you to the core, doesn't it? That's not what they deserve. That's not what's coming to them, right? But then again, maybe we do too. And to share a word of grace with someone means that we have to recognize our own need for grace. And we might even need to listen to ourselves. And then what about this verse, go and make disciples of all nations? That means people who might be different. People who might not like the things I like. People might not do things the way I like to do them. People who may not believe the way I believe. I find church people kind of prickly sometimes. I don't think we really mean to be. But in our quest to find something that fills us, we sometimes forget about others. What if all nations means we have to sing songs and worship that we don't really like? or pray in a language that's not our first tongue? Or worse yet, what if all nations means that I actually have to listen myself to what I hear in the sermon and go speak to someone who hasn't already heard about the love of God? How do you even start that conversation? Where do I begin? Where do I go to do that? What if I actually have to serve my neighbor? To go means to leave our comfort zone. But regardless, God tells us to go. And each week I hear us respond in chapel, thanks be to God, and we will. We say yes, don't we? We'll go. Despite all our fears and despite the ways in which we sometimes end up running or pushing back against God's commands, deep down, we really want to go. And when we say thanks be to God, we joyfully respond to that command. And maybe the reasons we joyfully respond are the same reasons that we're afraid. We know that when God sends us to go and speak, people do listen. And we know that when we go and make disciples of all nations, we really want others to experience and share God's love, even if they're different. And we know that when we go, God changes lives, maybe even our life. Even I can be changed. Even I can be loved. So now you may be saying this morning, wait a second. We've been listening to all year people telling us to abide. Doesn't that mean to stay? And now you're saying go? What's up with that? And indeed, our campus ministry theme this year is abide. And in some translation, the word is even remain or stay. So initially, I can see that this message today may be a little counterintuitive to all that you've heard this year. But here's the thing. When we abide with God and God with us, we don't actually remain in one place. We are called to follow, and we are called to go. Jesus was an active guy, always on the go, and he commanded us to do likewise. To remain with God is to get out there in the world and be active. To remain with God is to go. And as scary as that is, and as much as that makes us look at ourselves and wonder, why God? Why me? Why now? Why there? Why? There's a real nugget of hope in the second part of Jesus' command to go make disciples. And the end of that directive is a promise. Surely, surely I will be with you until the end of the age. So the good news is that when we go, we do not make the journey alone. And for that, there is much rejoicing. For that, we go in peace and we serve the Lord.